What's up? This Shanquilla. Shanquilla to some. I'm down here in my lab, finna weed on some shirts and do some things. Just kind of wanted to, I guess, talk a little bit. Um, I do business, so one wise thing that probably would have been wiser on my part, seeing that I'm a person who voices my thoughts a lot, is that if I would have separated my business from my personal stances, or if I would have never put myself as the front of my business, or the face of my business, that may have basically injured my business as far as sales a lot of times, because I'm very opinionated and have very strong opinions. Not very politically correct, I guess you can say. I voice what some people won't say, and that in itself can cause some confusion, or cause people to run and get out of Dodge. They don't want to be associated with that. You know, I have takes on homosexuality, have takes on what some would call religion or faith-based situations, have takes on marriage that are not always appealing to many. I don't placate, or I don't try to butter people up and make up things just to appease people. I'll tell them what I believe to be the truth. There have been times that I've been proven wrong, but a lot of times that I've been proven right, and it makes people very, very uncomfortable. In this walk, there's a lot of people that's out here about talk, 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 talk. Then there's that are about living it. I noticed that relationships nowadays are facilitated on basically what benefit I can get from you. They're not genuine as they should be. Most of the times people are seeing where you're at, and if they want to leap past you or whatever, they'll use you or become your friend just to get past you. You'll notice a lot of times you'll have a lot of communication with certain people, and then all of a sudden it just dissipates or disappears. Not that anything about you changed, but they on to the next. They're on to the next. They're moving forward. You gotta identify that sometimes. It's good to be able to see it and not take it personal, because that's just the type of world we live in. We live in a world that is about getting that guap, or getting that cash, or getting what you want. We have a consumer mindset, but we also have those that believe in winning at all costs, no matter the collateral damage. It's like the numbers. The bigger whatever they're doing is more shine towards them, and it's the more mark of success. People don't see stability as success, or consistency as success, as much as they see large numbers. And large numbers a lot of times get there and then diminish and disappear quick. Longevity, this walk is about enduring to the end. But a lot of times, people who speak on enduring to the end do a lot of things that are negative, or that fight against enduring to the end. They do things to actually sabotage what they're saying their goal is. A lot of times people who are loyal get stepped on. So loyalty is not really a normality in this day and time. And those that are loyal usually have many battle scars. People won't love you enough to tell you the truth either. There are often times that someone like me may step on a toe or two, and it could be corrected and dealt with. But it's better to move on, or easier to move on sometimes, than to even deal with things of that nature. A lot of times people feel like, why should I invest the time? So time management says I'm going to give things as little as my time as possible, and still try to get the most out of it. And that is not what discipling or building as far as kingdom is about. Kingdom is an endurance race. Basically, you're trying to get everybody to the finish. It's not about who made it first and who made it alone. It's about us all crossing. Ibrit, Hebrew, crossing. We're supposed to cross together, but yet that's not the mindset. See, that's one of the biggest downfalls of Hebrews in general, because we have this individual goal mindset, and a lot of times, yes, it does bring in a collective of people, but in the end, the larger number is the start part, but who comes across together is not the focus. The kingdom aspect is about Echad, oneness, all of us making it through if possible. But of course, we know that there is going to be a remnant, and the remnant usually is a choice most of the time. Choice on those that want to believe the truth and keep going forth with it. A choice on those who basically see value in that one lost sheep. Yahusha would spend the time to go out and find that one lost sheep. Nowadays, people say, okay, you put your effort towards those that are, winning, those that have the mindset of what you're doing, and you don't put effort in those that may seem to be different or outliners. You let them go to the wayside. And, that in itself is kind of interesting, because I'm like, that dynamic is not what something, I see in scripture myself. I see that oftentimes that one was the one that got the focus, because the other ones were already secure. It's all about the whole. It's not about, individual. It's not about the larger number. It's about the whole, everyone. No man left behind. But nowadays, that's not a realist situation. I know that you can't force somebody who doesn't want something to go along. But if somebody is actively working, even though they're struggling, you should still put that effort. But that's one thing that I'm one that has the mindset. I look at love languages. I take any information that I use, or I should say, that I gather from situations that may not seem to even coincide with one another, and I bring them in. When I was going through marriage counseling, I learned about love languages. That you find out your spouse's love language, and instead of loving them the way that you want to be loved, you love them how they desire to be loved, where they need, you give them, and in return, they should mutually do the same back to you, not passing off what they desire as what you need, but giving you what you ask for, what you need. It's not like, you send them for some Frito Lay's chips, and they come back with some J's or some old off-brand chips. They come back with what you asked for. That right there is something in marriage that you'll learn about most likely. You'll find that your spouse will ask you for something specifically, but you give them something. You could give them something that would seem to be a suitable replacement, but it won't do. Same thing happens in relationship between friends, male on male, female on female, even relationships between parents and children. Is that a lot of times we say, well, I know what's best for you, ignoring what the person has requested or what they desire. And a lot of times you may be giving them what's best for them, but in ignoring what they believe to be their needs, a lot of times it has them basically feel betrayed, stepped on, or misused. You got to gauge and look at a person and see, what is their makeup. Some people require encouragement constant. And some people say, well, I'm not finna put in all that work. Maybe you're not the right person to be in their circle. Some people don't need that type of encouragement, but they just need you to be there. But then you don't have the time. That's something that maybe that's not the type of relationship, that you should be a part of. See, quality time is one of the love languages. Some people don't have time. And a lot of times they will put it out there that, okay, I'm here for you. But when that time is required of them, they're not. And so they say that they're good friends to this person or, situation when they don't see the love language as necessary of quality time. They give no time. That 1 minute call is not enough for the person that's requiring quality time. Maybe you're not the right person to be connected with them. It's not always meant to be offensive. It's not meant to, be a problem thing. But in truth, that's not going to work. It's not really taking care of the need. You see a homeless person that say, I'm hungry, and you sit up there and give them scripture, their belly's still growling. You may have given them great, 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 great word, something that should change their lives, but with them being hungry, they didn't hear you. Past the grumblings of their stomach, it didn't go past that. So you have to look at people's physical needs sometimes when you're trying to give them spiritual things. You have to take care of what is the loudest thing going on at the moment. Me myself, a lot of times my loudest thing is my insecurities, or even my desire to have fellowship, or have connection with men. I was raised basically without a trust of men, so of course it's easy to spot when men are not doing what they're saying they're going to do. I notice their inconsistencies, and maybe I'm a little bit more harsh or less patient when it comes to those situations because I have a history of men lying. So my trust for them is very small and minute. And then men don't seem to express themselves genuinely how they feel a lot of times. A lot of times you find out how they feel more so by their actions, and a lot of times their actions don't coincide with what their words say. Those that say that they love you, a lot of times their actions say, I don't want nothing to do with you. I'm one of those sensitive brothers, I guess, so I can voice and I talk a lot on stuff. Some situations, I see it, I'm like, I don't get how somebody can expect success from that. You can have an art with somebody or an issue and try to, directly communicate it with it, but, or about that situation, and they decide, okay, I need my space. Weeks pass or whatever, and then, whenever they feel like addressing it, they come back to it and think that you're supposed to still be in the place where they left you, where you were desiring to rebuild on the relationship that was of value to them. To you, but to you now it doesn't feel like it was a value to them that they were able to just put it to the side or put it on a back burner. And life is that everybody has life going on while you're going through life yourself. Problem is, the communication gap is so great. A lot of times people could easily say, hey, stuff going on in life, I really can't deal with this right now. I have things, going on at home, whatever, just a blurb. You don't even have to give details or whatever. But most of the time people, or men aren't that open. They don't really operate in transparency. And so that's why someone like me who does operate in transparency seems to be, in their eyes, effeminate, or maybe I scare them. It's like nothing feminine about me. I'm not no punk or whatever, but I don't have a problem expressing what's going on with me, opening up. And that in itself makes people feel uncomfortable. When you shoot them the truth, when you identify something, when I let people know that, hey, I don't feel like you being the level of friend to me that I'm being to you. It doesn't mean that they're not a friend. It doesn't mean that I'm throwing them away or whatever, or that I just, don't want no dealings. It's just, I put more effort towards this. But, you know, everybody's not built the same. You cannot expect from others what you would give a lot of times. Though you want mutual love, and you want mutual relationship, it's not, in this world, it's not always a reality. We see that in our families. That happens in families. It's oftentimes that you could try to pour in love to your children, pour in love to your parents, pour in love to your cousins and stuff like that. But hey, they have life going on, and so they can be emotionally unavailable as well as actually in the natural unavailable for you. They're wanting to be available for someone else, but it's just not for you. The thing about it, that may turn around. They may eventually have that time for you, but now you've moved on. This life is about timing a lot of times. Divine frustration occurs in all type of situations. Yah will allow things to occur so that certain relationships don't get fostered or built on. And it's not because the people involved are not people that he's using, but their purposes don't align. A lot of times, if some people come together, they would be comfortable and not move according to Yah's plan. And so it's not of benefit to him to allow those relationships to even be. Sometimes there's going to be unevenness in the relationships. That's why Yah is the one that really controls the fulcrum. He's the balancer. There's a great balance act that that I see in life in general that most people don't want to address. Confidence and arrogance. Some of the most confident people exude arrogance, and I don't know if people realize a lot of times those people are very insecure, and so they're patting themselves on the back or saying those things because they have self-doubt and they have to encourage themselves. And it's sad that you're supposed to let another man praise you, but in this lifetime praise is absent so often when someone is succeeding, because you have so many people envious and coveting what they have. So people don't want to give people the acknowledgement that they rightfully may deserve. And you have people, that are constantly seeking out, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And those that saying look at me often have very much a lot to be looked at. But, that desire to be looked at in itself is repelling to some. Just what it is. Sadly, for me, is that I'm a mixture of so many different things. I'm not actually a master of much. I'm more so a jack of many trades, and that's not the most productive way of using the gift to be all over and have creativity all over. A lot of times it's best to just focus on one thing, but I've never had the discipline or know-how or I don't really have that drive, I guess. And one of the things that's scary to me is that when I've seen myself have that drive, usually I'm on the level or on the balance or on the fulcrum side of arrogance more so than confidence. And me being arrogant, I lose myself. I end up being more like Hasatan than with Yah. And so I kind of enjoy being not well, I don't enjoy being humbled by people, but I enjoy that that I have some type of insecurities, or that I see myself not as perfect as people think that I want to see myself. People think that I see myself as high and mighty, but I see all my flaws more so than my my areas they're good. They say, oh well, you got a successful marriage. I agree, but I see so many areas in marriage that I failed. Being divorced once and then coming into this marriage and basically having to reassess my thinking and change. And I'm still in the process of changing. As a parent, I know dang well that I'm a failure to me because I was more, I guess, hands on with my first set of children. And yet, in that, they seem to have more dysfunction or more problems. And I'm like, okay, is it me trying to be more connected? Was the problem? I know that going through divorce and having issues with their mom played a large part of it, but I see that relationship with my children. It's not there really. My oldest children, it's not really there like it's supposed to be. My son, I have some semblance of a relationship, but my oldest, my daughter, I have no relationship with. And so much has happened in their lives that I know I'm not to blame, but then I still take blame because I was the head, and so I chose their mom and all of these things and stuff like that, and so it it affected how hands on or how close I am with my youngest. I used to be a very affectionate father, and now I'm not as affectionate. But when you get accused of something that is not true and stuff, it affects you. It changes you. You know, I'm guarded. I do a lot of things that I do in life on defense because I don't know where I can lay trust at. I trust in Yah, but I do know that Yah allows certain things, for us to go through. We are again enduring to the end. So tests gonna come, and so do you just open yourself up to be, smacked in the back of the head, or do you keep your head on a swivel? You know, I try to keep my head on a swivel, trying to watch and see what's going on around me. I test the spirits around me. A lot of times, the tests prove out just as I thought, but I'm still trying to be loyal to people, still trying to connect with people. But of course, over and over, I see that they're more so focused on organization or on entity more so than relationship with me, or a lot of my friendships or relationships, they basically let me know that you are the add-on. This other person is more of priority than you, and so I just basically have to deal with that, or not deal with it. For one that likes to have fellowship or connect with people and stuff like that, a lot of times I don't associate with those things because I really have a problem staying silent when I see fakeness. I have a problem not calling it out. I have a problem with not seeing people actually playing politics. I could be having a conversation with somebody and somebody walks in the room and they'll end the conversation abruptly to go talk to this person because of their status. To me, that's fakeness. You were fine enough having conversation with me, but now you want to branch off and talk to this person because of their status or their title. And it's like, okay, couldn't that have waited? But you've ended our conversation abruptly to go do that, and then you don't return to it. So basically, I was just a space filler for the moment. I noticed that. Bothers me, but hey, it's a realization that happens. People can see your gifting, they can see your talent, and hey, they can try to even emulate it or copy it or produce it some other way. Don't always work. There's only one Shanquilla, but I guess a lot of times when with my opinionated stance or whatever, people would rather have the semi or the like Shanquilla or the knockoff, because it don't come with the accountability or the chastening that I bring. Yeah, yeah. Well, this is vinyl. I know I'm switching gears a little bit. You actually have to find a spot, lift it up, and actually peel back the excess vinyl. And it exposes the words or whatever the image is that you produced. Sometimes you have to be very careful because when you're pulling away, you could actually pull up some of the letters sometimes because the cut or it didn't make a clean cut. So sometimes I have to redo this stuff. This is very time consuming when you have to do multiple shirts and stuff like that. And so a lot of times people look at the shirt process and think, okay, that's something quick and easy and it shouldn't cost what it costs. But when it comes to time, it's very time consuming. And so that's in the cost. When you try to explain that to people that have never done it, it goes in one ear and out of the other. See this image right here? It's my cousin's, and see, he's one that values my time and my effort. See, being that I do graphic design as well, your visual and stuff like that, that in itself is a skill set, and it takes schooling for most, but I did a lot of learning on YouTube and other people teaching me, but still it took a whole lot of time. And so when you're able to do stuff quicker, people don't look at the time that you put in to learn how to do it quicker. That's how it is across the board on almost everything. The person with seniority, the person with time, is able to use their mind and plan out how to do it more efficiently without stress and things of that nature. There's oftentimes, at my job, I do security, that I see people that I've trained or people that come under me or whatever that's came after me try to do the job that I do. And they may take 10 steps to do something that I'm able to do in 2 or 3. And so in that, the process that they take 30 minutes for something that I only take 1 to 5 minutes to do. I'll never get credit for that. Even when you try to show them how to do it, you have to use your mind and think, okay, how can I shorten this up? And a lot of times they have protocols or ways that they direct you to do it, but you may find a more efficient way to do it. Or even if the way that they want you to do it. A new person still has to go to the book and say, well, how they want me to do it. If you remember how to do it yourself, without having to go back to the manual, that's time that's saved. A lot of times, seniority or older folks are your better. They're worth so much to you, but people don't appreciate a wealth of knowledge. See, I'm speaking on that because in marriage, I do have a divorce, but I do have now currently 18 years of successful marriage. And there are many people who come into my home and has been friends to me and say, oh, your marriage is so blessed. And yet, whenever I give my thoughts or whatever, it's like, yeah, right, or whatever, they look at the situation and see it and say it's blessed, but then when it comes to getting information or me speaking on something, it's almost like it's devalued. And I'm like, okay, is it because it's me? I'm like, but, oh, my wife is just a bomb and stuff like that. So, I know that has something to do with it. But, one of the things that is almost always ignored, and I don't want to, toot my horn or whatever, but it's the truth. If if my wife is staying with me and faithful, loving me, there's something about me that she loves. It's not just because of my good looks. It's not just because of the money I bring in. Because, hey, I had to work a full-time job and I'm working a business. So it's not that. So what is it? It must be something else. Maybe is more to the package than what people get to see. People get to see that I'm very much straightforward on stuff or whatever. My wife actually enjoys that I'm talkative. A lot of men aren't. So it's not like I walk around with my feelings or what's going on with me hidden. Maybe some stuff I should withhold or whatever, but she doesn't have to assume that I'm all right because I tell her I'm all right. She sees it. There's communication. My wife, she takes very good care of me, and so a lot of times when stuff seems to be going on, it really is not as big on a scale as some people think. When I went through some stuff in ministry and stuff like that, I still was in good space a lot of times, even though I was venting or putting how I felt out there. It was like, okay, I was actually addressing how I felt at the moment it happened, and maybe not real time what was going on right at that time. A lot of the stuff that I'm moved to share about, over and over I've found that it's been helpful to others because others feel that same way, but they don't see anybody expressing or talking about it. A lot of the practical stuff I talk about on marriage, most people don't go through counseling like they should, or they don't talk about certain things. Finances was the last thing on my mind in my first marriage as far as talking about, but it should have been talked about. It was very beneficial in my second marriage, this marriage right here, that we talked about it in counseling. So much, that goes on, child rearing, things of that nature. Most people don't know, okay, what's your plan with your children? Some people are against corporal punishment or whooping. Some people are for it. That's something. Some people are for holidays. Some people are against it. It's so much that you got to have the dialogue on. Some people are, very oriented on material things, and some people aren't.